Guys, welcome to the channel. My name's Casey, and this is my Jeep. And on this week's upload, I'm going to be talking about 5 mods that I wish I had done differently to my Jeep. If this is your first time stopping by the channel, and you like Jeep vlogs, off-road reviews, installation guides, and just general off-road news, think about subscribing. I would love to have you here on the channel as a subscriber. If you're already subscribed and returning to the channel, thanks so much for the support. I appreciate all the new subscribers that have joined the channel recently. If you're wondering why I'm wearing glasses this week, I had to have eye surgery last week, and so it has kind of left me with not being able to go off-roading for a few weeks while I recover. While I've got some downtime, I want to make a series of videos of top 5s. I've got a whole list of things that I want to talk about in different top 5 segments, and I'm going to be releasing a video every week, at least maybe twice a week, until I can recover and get back out on the trail and start shooting some vlogs. So this week, it's going to be the top 5 mods that I've done since I owned my Jeep that I wish I had done differently. Now, as most of you don't know, I bought this Jeep about 3 years ago, completely bone stock. And some of my ideas of how I wanted to use it over the years have changed. And so with that, some of the mods have changed as well. I just didn't like some of the mods that I had done and just reconfigured my Jeep a little bit. So this week, I'm going to be talking about the top 5 mods that I wish I had done differently and I've either changed or plan to be changing sometime in the future. For the first thing that I wish I had done differently, we're heading over to my Jeep parts boneyard, which, well, it's kind of a mess right now. So the first thing I'm going to show you, and I'll put a picture up in a second, but what I have here is just sitting here collecting dust at this point. At some point, I will sell it, but this is the Excessive Industries Gatekeeper tire carrier. Now, what this is an onboard tire carrier. So this carries the tire in sort of the trunk area of your Jeep. It frees up your tailgate from having something on it, moves some of the weight inside of the Jeep, and changes some of your center of gravity on the Jeep. It's a really nice tire carrier. I'm not saying anything bad about this tire carrier, and the guys at Excessive Industries are really great to deal with. So if this is what you want, if this is sort of the style of tire carrier that you want to go with, I highly recommend dealing with the guys over at Excessive Industries. They are awesome. However, for me, I had originally bought this. I thought it would be a really cool idea to have my tire sitting up here in this area of my Jeep. But some of my priorities changed once I got this, and I went from originally just going out by myself, doing some local trails, to bringing my daughter along, Maddie, who's seen in some of the vlogs, as well as we've gone on some longer road trips, things like that, and it just wasn't working for me when it comes to cargo space. So as you can see now, we have a different tire carrier on the Jeep. This is the Poison Spider body mount carrier. So this is the first thing that I wish I had done differently when I first started building my Jeep. And as you can see, I have replaced this now with this tire carrier. This gets the tire out of the cargo area. When we're on road trips, I need to bring a couple suitcases. When Maddie's out on the trail, we bring a potty with us. It allows more room for my fridge in the Jeep, as well gives me more space for tools and other recovery gear, and frees up my back seats, which I was constantly putting stuff in before. So like I said, Excessive Industries, a great company. They make some really good products. Really good customer service and to deal with. However, I bought their Gatekeeper tire carrier with a different set of priorities in mind, and that changed after about a year or so, and so I swapped it out to this Poison Spider carrier. I really like this tire carrier a lot. It allows me to mount things like my shovel and rotopacks to it. I have some reverse lights mounted here, some KC Cyclones. The other thing is this has a locking handle. So I can lock this, and you can't get easy access to the spare tire on here. Second, now you see these everywhere, high lift jacks. I bought this. I thought it was awesome. It looks kind of cool on the Jeep, but honestly, in 3 years of off-roading with this Jeep, I have never used it a single time, not once. I know some people that have, but honestly, guys, the jack that comes factory with your Jeep works awesome. It's really good. It's much safer, much more secure, and it's very, very rare that you will be in a scenario where you need an extreme jack like this. I also carry a small, I think it's a 1.5 ton bottle jack inside of my Jeep that I can prop up if we need to get a second jack going. But every spare tire, every axle brake that we've had out on the trail, every one that I've always run with, we've always just pulled out our factory jack, and it's been more than adequate. If you're worried about some of the heights, I think AEV makes a platform for it if you have enough lift and you want to get a few extra inches underneath it. But honestly, I wish I never bought this high lift, and it's probably going to be coming off here very soon. I'm just thinking about what I want to replace it with. It's probably going to be, I think I'm going to put an axe back here, because I do find that I need an axe quite often because we stop for a fire. I need to chop some wood or something like that, and it would just be a good mounting location here with my shovel, of which I use this shovel all the time, whether I'm stuck, we may be just trying to modify a little section of the trail, whether we're out having fun. Maddie likes to go digging and I give her a hand. So this is a great mod. For me, I wouldn't buy another high lift jack. I just don't find any value in it. I never used it. It looks cool. It's really heavy back there. It's adding quite a bit of weight. The Poison Spider carrier has no problem holding it, but for me, just kind of a waste of money, and I don't really need it. So that's the second Jeep mod that I would do differently. All right, guys, third mod I would do differently. Steel versus aluminum. Now, this is probably going to get a lot of debate. You know, everybody's going to have their preference. It really does depend on what you're doing, where you're wheeling, things like that. But I went with all steel. All my sliders are steel. My skid plates are steel. My fenders are steel. Even my bumpers are steel. And guys, I weighed my Jeep, and with me in it, it weighs 6,000 pounds. And the 3.8 liter hamster wheel in there really struggles, even with 513 gears. If I had to do it again, I would go all aluminum. The next Jeep I build, everything's going to be aluminum. I've never come across an opportunity where I'm wheeling and steel would be better than aluminum. And I think the few hundred pounds is probably even more. I would go with an all aluminum setup on my Jeep. I would go aluminum front bumpers, fenders. I know like company like Genrite makes sliders with a steel panel on them, so the part that you are going to grind on the rocks is going to be protected in steel, but the rest is going to all be aluminum. Genrite makes a really good aluminum tire carrier, which I would consider as well, and rear bumpers. That's going to save a ton of weight. So the third thing I wish I did differently, and next time I do build a Jeep, because unfortunately this is just way too much money and way too much time to change it out to an aluminum setup. Next time I build a Jeep, it's going to be all aluminum. Now, that's my personal preference, but something to think about, guys. Steel adds a ton of weight, and if you're going to end up with every bell and whistle on your Jeep, you may want to think about just how much that's going to weigh versus how much that's going to provide you value for off-roading and additional protection of having the steel. As well, steel rust. I have all this powder coated, but some of it does chip off depending on what I'm bashing into over time, things like that, and it will rust. I have to constantly hit it with some spray paint to just maintain it, where aluminum isn't really exposed to that type of issue. All right, guys, fourth thing that I wish I had done differently or modified differently is going to be the exhaust that I went with. I went with a stainless steel AFE catback exhaust with the over-the-axle tailpipe. It replaces the factory muffler that goes underneath your rear area. So you gain a bunch of clearance there, and it moves the muffler in front of the evap canister, which is a pretty good spot, and a lot of people do put their muffler there. Why do I wish I had done this differently? Well, the over-the-axle piece. Once I stuck that on, I just really didn't like the look of it. I have a really high clearance Crawler Concepts bumper, and you could see the entire tailpipe hanging out there, and it just looked kind of goofy and really wasn't too happy with it. So I ended up taking that extra piece off, and essentially I'd spent all that money on this kit when all I was really installing was a muffler, and I went and got a downpipe from Canadian Tire and put that on, and I ended up having to weld on an extra little bracket support hanger for it. So if I was going to do this differently, what I would do is I would probably just buy an aftermarket, I think it's 1 3/4 inch tailpipe. Don't quote me on that, but I would just go buy an aftermarket muffler, something like MagnaFlow, and I would just mount that up. It would be way cheaper. It wouldn't be several $100s, and it would just give me a little downturn just before the and it would save me lots of money. So while I would do a custom aftermarket exhaust again, I wouldn't buy the entire catback system. I wouldn't buy the over-the-axle piece. You may want to. It isn't always street legal to have that downpipe. It sometimes has to go back past the vehicle. But if I was doing it again, I would just buy a single muffler with the right input diameter on it and a quick downturn. It would be several $100s cheaper, and it would perform just the same and sound good. So that's what I would do differently with the exhaust. All right, so this mod is a little different. I was trying to get a little bit creative here, and I put a couple Viair 480C pumps. These are the highest flowing pumps that Viair makes, and they do work really good at filling up my 37-inch tires from 6 or 8 PSI. I have a 5-gallon tank sitting in here, and this system will charge up to 200 PSI. It takes about 5 minutes to fill the whole system, and I can typically inflate a tire in about 60 seconds to 75 seconds from a low PSI. Now, what I would do differently here is I would go with the ARB twin pump system. I wouldn't go with a tank, and I would mount that either under my hood or under one of my seats, maybe the passenger side seat. One of those mounting kits works really great. Why I would do this differently? Well, I've had a few problems with this system. Essentially, I had to run really heavy gauge. I think it's 4 gauge wire all the way back to here. These have huge amperage draw on the system. But that's not the biggest problem. I think really just the space that it takes up. It's taking up a lot of cargo area, and I just am not seeing the benefit for the space that I have to give up in order to do that. Now, they're mounted on top of a low profile 10-inch Pioneer subwoofer that I have back here. I would definitely keep that. I like my tunes, but I could free up quite a bit of cargo space here, and definitely having the tank would free up a little bit more space just for some extra gear and things that I'm taking on road trips and whatnot. So the system works good. To me, I would do it differently. I'm in it too much now to change. I don't think I would change it, but another Jeep that I would be building, I would go for the twin pump ARB system, or if you want it to really get crazy with airflow, you could get one of the belt-driven compressors. Those things are monsters for CFMs, but that gets a little pricey, so it really depends on what you want. But I think what I've compared against some other people that run those dual ARB pumps, they work just about as fast as these guys and take up way less space, way less wiring to have to deal with, and especially if you mount them underneath of your hood. All right, guys. That's it for today. That's my top 5 mods that I wish I had done differently on my Jeep. I hope that you found it helpful and helps guide you in your Jeep build and whatever you're planning for your rig. What are your top mods that you would do differently on your Jeep? Leave them down in the comments below. I would love to hear from you guys and see what you guys didn't like when you're building your Jeep. I'm always changing mine. I'm sure at some point I'll build another Jeep, and I would love to see what you guys would do differently as well. If you enjoyed this week's upload, guys, make sure you smash that like button. Greatly appreciated. And if you haven't already, join the channel, hit that subscribe button. There's more of these top 5 videos coming out as well. We're in off-road season, so as soon as my eye's better, I'm going to be out on the trail shooting some vlogs. I've also got some new products coming in that I'm going to be doing some reviews on. You probably haven't seen them yet. They are brand new, just waiting for them to arrive. So turn those notifications on so you don't miss any of the future uploads, guys. Appreciate all the new subscribers to the channel, and I will see you guys in the next upload.